Welcome to this beginner guide to 4v4 Passtime. You can use the chapter timestamps to skip around to the parts that you'll find the most useful. If you want to play, go to this website to begin. Click your region to get an invite to the Discord server that hosts pickup games for you to play. Go to the Pug AddUp channel and type /add. This puts you in the queue to play. Once 8 players are added, the Pug will start, and you'll get a ping to join the voice chat. If there are already 8 or more players added up, you don't have to add to the bot. You can just join VC and wait for your turn. But now onto the actual gameplay stuff of 4v4 Passtime. This is the Passtime Jack. It's the ball that you are supposed to dunk into the enemy goal to win. Whilst the ball is in your hands, holding left click will ready a throw, and this little yellow crosshair will appear where the ball's about to land. Holding left click doesn't charge up your throw range or anything, it's specifically done to aim the ball. Tapping left click to throw will throw the ball just as far, it just doesn't give you any time to aim. Whilst you're holding the ball, you can't switch weapons and you can't attack, so passing the ball to your teammates is incredibly important. If you're holding the ball and you hover over your teammate with your crosshair, you'll lock onto them, and your HUD will change in a few ways to indicate that you're locked on. If you pass the ball while you're locked onto your teammate, the ball will follow your teammate. The ball will follow that player basically forever, no matter how fast or far they move, until the ball reaches them. The only way this pass will fail is if the ball hits a wall, or an enemy intercepts the pass, the ball takes damage whilst travelling, or the player being passed to dies.
Oh my god.
Oh my. If you want to pass to a teammate but there's an enemy or wall in the way, you can't just throw the ball straight through because the pass will fail. But this doesn't mean that you can't pass to that player. Once you've locked onto your teammate, you can flick your aim up or down or side to side to get the ball to go around whatever obstacle is in your way. This is called spicing the ball, and it lets you get passes to people that are otherwise unable to be passed to. If you get the ball but find you don't want to lock onto your teammates, you can hold right click. As long as you're holding right click, you are unable to lock onto teammates, allowing you to free throw the ball wherever you want. If you started holding left click and want to cancel your throw, you tap right click to cancel it. Whilst the ball's traveling during a pass, it will have a team colored trail. It also has a team colored trail when you do a free throw too. When the ball touches the ground or takes damage, the ball will go neutral and the trail turns white. A ball has to be team colored to score onto an enemy goal. If the ball is white, it can't score. The ball also has to be team colored for it to continue following your teammate after a pass. If the ball gets damaged in any way, it will go neutral and stop following your teammate. If the ball is the enemy team's color and you get in the way of it, you will get an intercept. Intercepting the ball gives you 2 seconds of invulnerability and a speed boost. Similar to intercepts, there's also steals. If an enemy player has the ball and you melee them, you steal the ball out of their hands. And you also get this same invulnerability and speed boost. The basic game plan of a Passtime match is for your team to get the ball and then to pass to someone. The player who got passed to will do a big bomb across the map and then land near the enemy goal. They'll then jump up to grab the ball as they land, and then they'll throw the ball in the enemy's goal. But what if you're defending? How do you prevent the enemy team from doing this to you? First up is jumping in front of the goal. This will intercept the ball before it can score. If you're stood directly in front of the goal, rocket jumping normally sends you much too high to defend the goal. But if you rocket jump without crouching, you will go a perfect height to defend the goal. There's also splashing the goal. If you're way too far away to jump in front, you can fire rockets at the goal. A well-timed rocket will damage the ball and knock it away, making it go neutral. You can also go for intercepts on passes to defend. As the enemy player takes a pass onto your side, you can get in the way of the pass to regain possession. You can also melee steal on defense. As a player lands on your side of the map and jumps up for the pass, you can jump at the same time as they do and melee them out of the air. You can also airshot to defend too. There's 3 playable classes in Passtime. This is the class limits for each of those classes, and these are the allowed items for each class. You can pause here to take a closer look. Soldier is the most versatile class, being able to quickly change from offense to defense in an instant. Demo has the most powerful offense by a large margin, but is less effective on defense. And Medic is a class that excels at pressuring opponents, getting melee steals with his fast move speed, and having a much larger throw range than any other class. At the start of every Passtime match, there's about 10 seconds of setup time. Then the the announcer counts down, and then the ball spawns. The ball can either spawn from this upper dropper or the lower dropper. Soldier players should fight for possession on the upper platform, and medics and demos fight for possession lower. When the ball is in play, but not on your screen, these little indicators will show up to point out where the ball is. So whilst you're fighting top mid, right as the ball spawns, you can see which dropper the ball came from without having to look at it. If the white indicator points up, the ball's upper. If it points down, it's lower. If the ball spawns upper, the soldier can jump up and grab it before it hits the ground, denying the enemy team of possession. If the enemy team doesn't deny this well enough, you can even score a goal immediately off this first jump. This is called a panacea, named after the player that popularized the technique when 4v4 Passtime was in its infancy. If the ball spawns lower, the demos and medics will fight for possession. Fighting for lower can be quite complicated, so I'm not going to go over it too much here. But a very common strategy is melee stealing, trying to steal the ball from the enemy rather than being the first person to grab it as it spawns. Once you have possession, you'll typically want to pass to your teammates to start your offense going. And if you lose the ball on mid, soldier players will want to immediately jump back to goal off the top of mid so they're ready to defend. Because offenses can happen insanely fast after you lose possession on mid. There's this little minimap HUD element at the bottom of your screen. It can look different based on the HUD you use, but it's incredibly useful. Each end represents one team's goal. These little indicators show you roughly where every player is on the map. The ball indicator right here will be white if the ball is neutral, and will be team colored if one team has possession. So if you're top mid and the ball goes lower, usually it would be quite hard to tell who got the ball lower. But you can use your minimap to check this. If the ball icon on the minimap turns the enemy color, that means you lost lower, so you should jump back to your goal. If it turns your team's color, your team got the ball, and you can try and jump forwards to help on the offense. And people playing lower can use the minimap in much the same way. There's a lot of terminology in Passtime, and I'm going to go over all the important ones here. First off is map callouts. There's quite a lot of Passtime maps, but they all share a similar enough design that most of the callouts are interchangeable regardless of the map you're playing on. But as an example, I'm going to use this map, Arena 2, as a baseline for callouts to learn. This is top mid. This is lower. These ramps are lower right and lower left respectively. If someone calls their top left or top right, they mean these upper ramps on the side of the map here. These high ground parts at the sides are called shelves. These big pillars out of spawn are called ultra. You can stand on top of ultra with a pixel walk, so people calling out "I'm on ultra" will happen from time to time. These parts underneath the shelves are called dark. There's also these fences that are just called left and right fence. You can also stand on these arms, and we call those galactic. There's also this part on the dropper that we call leaf, because it kind of looks like a leaf. If you're wondering why there's no call out for right up here, it's because standing on this makes you take tons of damage and die basically instantly. And finally, you can also sit on top of the goals too. And this has a whole bunch of colourful names that people use for it, but I'm going to ignore those and call it pride. Now there's also gameplay terminology that we need to go over. A pass is just locking onto your teammate and throwing the ball to them. But there's also a handoff. I'm above enemy goal now. Oh, handoff. In the sky. Oh my god! Which is when you throw the ball to your teammate, but you don't lock it onto them. You instead throw the ball loose for them to grab out of the air. Then there's self-bombs, which is where a player will do some complex jump setup to carry the ball all on their own. These are very complicated and difficult to do, so I won't talk about them here. But people calling self-bombs will happen from time to time, so it's worth knowing. Intercepts are jumping in front of a pass or enemy throw. Steals are when you melee someone to steal the ball from their hands. If someone calls that the ball is loose, that means that no team currently has possession of the ball. The ball is rolling around loose somewhere on the map. There's also pulting. There's these catapults in the corners of the map that will launch the ball away into the middle. So a ball being pulted is the ball hitting one of these launchers. Another one you might hear is cherry picking. A cherry picker is someone who stands super far forward out of position on the enemy side of the map, not helping their team defend whatsoever. The goal here is that their team will win the defense without them and then pass the ball to them. Although cherry picking is usually a bad strategy for a whole host of reasons, so I wouldn't recommend actually doing it. But people calling out enemy cherry pickers is common. There's also win stratting. A win strat is a bomb you will do to grab the ball the instant it spawns in. You can also win strat the lower dropper, which looks something like this. People will call if they see an enemy is about to do a win strat, and if you hear that, you might want to have one of your soldiers jump back to the goal to defend against the win strat. Although win strats are kind of frowned upon on in a pug setting, because they don't let everybody else play the game. So hopefully you don't hear the windstrat call too frequently. There's also what's called pulling. Soldiers can shoot a rocket at the right timing at the ball dropper to pull it towards their side of the map as it spawns. So if your soldier calls that he's pulling, this is what that means. There's also what's called a demo thing, when a demo charges these steep ramps to get onto your side of the map with the ball. Then finally, there's loadout names. Soldier and medic don't really have much loadout variation, but demo has multiple playstyles based on the loadout he runs. The basic demo loadout just gets called pipes, because it involves melee, shield, and a pipe bomb launcher. Typically the iron bomber, because it lets you do pipe jumps more easily. But there's also demo with boots, and these loadouts have a few different names based on the melee you use. Scallop is boots, shield, and a stock melee. I don't know why it's called a scallop, but that's just what people call it. Then stoic demo is boots, shield, and a caber. They call this stoic because once you've used your charge and caber, you sort of just sit on the sidelines and stoically watch your team try to win the game whilst you can't do anything about it. That should be all the basic information you need to know about 4v4 Passtime. But if you do have any other questions, you can certainly ask people in the Passtime Discord servers and they'll be happy to help you out. So good luck and have fun.